Hello and welcome to the Weekly Song Podcast. This is episode 170 of this songwriting show where Declan Kitchener and myself, Roger Heathers, each write a song in the space of a week and bring them to this show and talk about how we wrote the songs. How are you doing, Declan?
I'm doing reasonably well, thank you. How about yourself?
Reasonably well also.
And isn't that all we can be expected to have achieved?
Exactly.
So, for the benefit of anyone who's maybe only tuning in this season, what happens on this show? What do we do? What are our goals? What are our aims? What are the major themes of the work?
Well, of the work. So basically what we do is we write a song each. We go away and we're given 7 days to write a song, and we have to come up with something in that time, bring them to this show and talk about maybe the chords, the lyrics, and the challenges that kind of go into a song. With a view to share some songs and maybe share a tip or two of how to kind of get that process working for you, because I think the accountability of doing it in a week has always helped us. So
yes, the fact that if I don't turn up with something, then you'll be very lovely about it and you'll be very forgiving, and I'll feel guilty, and this is how it works. This is the hold he has over me. Help.
Enough of that. We're fine. No, yeah, but it really does help. It does help having that accountability thing. I said this last time, I think you did too, but we've been out of practice for a little while with writing because we take a break between seasons. Yes,
and it just so happened in this break between seasons, you did something quite major. And just lots of things seem to be happening. So
I'm having a baby. No,
we didn't want to say, but we're so excited.
But yeah, so we have. I mean, I've moved house. That's why we're in a different setting.
Oh, I thought we just broke into this place.
Yeah, we got to wrap up pretty soon. Actually, I think the owner's going to be back soon.
Oh, there.
But yeah, so we have bought a song each to the show. And we're going to talk about how we wrote them and what went into them. So, what is your second song of this season called, and how does it go? I'd love to hear it.
Well, my second song of this season is called Make It Right, and it goes a little something like this. I'm always on the run, I'll never stay for long, I'm always up and down. Stay with me down each day, always, but I will try to make it right. 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 Won't bring my luck around. Never reaching out. I fear I'll wear you out. Can't clear my head of doubt. Never, but I will try to make it right. I will try to make it right. Of how I'm doing wrong, the music still plays on. Always, I'll never learn a thing, no matter what I sing, long past you to begin. Always, I will try to make it right. I will try. to make it right. I don't know how, but I'll make it right.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. That's so good. In fact, like the hook at the end, because we're in the same room now, I wanted to just sing along with it. I just wanted to say, it's like, no, don't join in, don't join in. No, that's
What
so
if you get
good.
it wrong? There's only 6 words. Actually, no, there's hella like 7.
Oh, so it's a little bit beyond me. But yeah, I mean, it's quite like chordally, like straightforward. It kind of reminds me of my approach to my song last week, which was just like choose some simple chords and kind of get a great song out of it.
Thank you. I don't know about great song, but
And I'm not saying about my song last week. Get a great song out of it, like I did.
No, say it. It's all accurate. It's all
No,
accurate. It's all good. We all love each other, really, don't we? Bastard. I love having these multiple cameras. It's so fun. Yeah, this one is consciously designed to be very, very simple. I've just been a bit aware recently that when I go out to open mics and when I go out and do things with other people, like there's always someone there who's like, oh, do you want to jam? Do you want to do this, that, the other? Do you want to do that with one of your own songs? It's like all of the songs I know have multiple chords and slightly weird chords and chords in orders that are difficult to pick up. So this is very much the anti-song of that. To the point where it only uses 4 chords throughout the whole thing, and you can get away with 3 if you're very careful.
Oh, yeah, if you're very careful.
Yeah, there's a sort of C, but you can sort of play it off as a passing A minor if you desperately wanted.
Oh yeah, shared notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shared notes are fun. And it's only got 2 sections as well, so there's no bridge that people get tripped up over.
Ideal.
So this one started with the chorus. Let me break down the secrets of my genius here. We started off with a G chord, and then we played an A minor chord, and then we played a D chord, and then we played another G.
So the old 1, 2, 5, 1.
So where's my Grammy is what I'm asking at this point. But
It's in the post.
yeah, because you could do it like.
Oh yeah.
So, ignore that last chord. What I did there was I substituted the A minor for a C. So you just get the 1, 4, 5. But I prefer the A minor there.
It sounds a bit more like a kind of melodically like a kind of like a kid's song with the C. Like I will try to get. Whereas with the A minor, it's a bit more sort of like reflective or something. You know what I mean?
There's 1 degree more of sad.
Yeah,
and
yes.
that's what we like here.
Exactly. Exactly. You can't write a sad children's song.
Life
is hard.
Yeah. You've got a lot of terrible things coming to you. I hope you like them, 'cause none of us did. Sucks to be you.
Yeah, but it does change it up, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose at this point with like songwriting, you're not like actively thinking, I have a C there, I should put an A minor there. It's almost just instinctive of like, you know that'll be a good change, right?
Yeah, I did sort of, obviously, because I'm very smart and I'm very knowledgeable.
Of course.
I know that you can substitute the 2 chords for each other, so I did try it both ways. But A minor is the one I started with. A minor, I would think, is the one that sounds best. And then again, it's trying to keep it simple in the verses. So you just got an A minor, down to a G, back up to an A minor, and then C and a D.
That's a fancy D though.
So basically, if you're interested in the voicing of that, that is a C. Just make sure you've got the high G on the top, and then shift the whole thing up. It's kind of like the Times Like These chords,
right?
From David. It's Times Like These, it's that sort of movement, and yeah, that's melodically about all there is to it. I think I did again try to start on like a. So like going between C, G, C and D.
For the verses.
For the verses, instead of A minor, G, A minor,
Oh,
C, D.
yeah.
And again, just A minor with the subjects I was sort of thinking of, or like the vibe I was thinking of, A minor probably felt more correct.
It's funny how like the tone of like what you think the lyrics might be about as you're writing a song kind of inform the chords you choose. I think that's a really clear example of that.
Well, I think in this one I knew, because there was that sort of... like there's going to be like something strong and simple on those bits, so like you can sort of afford to be a bit more wallowing in that sort of minorness for a second. This is all very pretentious about a song that has far fewer chords than anything else I've ever done. So yeah, that's that side of it. And then the lyrics.
Yes. I couldn't pinpoint what this one exactly was about. So what's it about?
It is basically the verses are all sort of problems with myself, or things that I sort of think that I've done wrong at some point, or that I know might rub people up the wrong way. So I'm always on the run. I never stay for long. I'm always up and gone. Like I just don't stick around. Like I've never found my place. I always fail to stay. Like no matter where I live, I end up having to move after a little bit. That's it's not very nice. I'm always backing down. The loser of the town will bring my luck around. Like could be a bit more bold. Could be a bit more adventurous. I'm never reaching out for fear I'll wear you out. And I don't talk to as many people as I should do. And then the last bit is kind of did I tell you I hadn't had breakfast today? The last bit of the song is kind of, there's a Frank Turner song called Reasons Not to Be an Idiot.
Okay.
Where he talks about faults with other people, and then there's one verse where he does a live show where he says, oh, this is the important verse, and it's the faults of himself. So this is kind of like my version of that. This is like the key thing that I'm just annoyed with myself by. It's like I'm always writing songs of how I'm doing wrong. I never learn a thing no matter how much I sing.
I love that line. That's such a good line.
It's just like, I know what the problems are. I take 0 steps in sorting them out. This is the joy of being me. So that's basically that. And then the counterpoint to that in the chorus is, but I'll try and make it right.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that. I feel like you're in a really similar like lyric vein to me with this one. In terms of like, my last week's song was just like, I can't change my own mind. I'm aware of the problems, but here we are, sort of thing.
And it's frustrating. Like I think I've done that a little bit of other songs where I sort of said I sing these lines so many times, and I never ever sort of sort anything out. And it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But also the solution is very simple, and I know that even in the future, future Declan, you still have not sorted all of that out, have you? No, I didn't think you had.
He hasn't.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, I'm sure you will. It's just like, I know what you mean. It's like reflecting on things and then sort of not changing them. We're all guilty of it to some extent, I think.
Yeah. But then, as well, keeping this one simple, like the verses, I don't expect anyone to sing along with them, but they are very plain and sort of, it came out very quickly, which is quite worrying, but also like quite good in terms of I didn't have to sit there like thinking for ages, like, oh, I don't know, I need to make up another fault about myself. I'm always burning bread.
I've got lyrics in my head. Yeah, sometimes it can feel like pulling teeth, like, okay, I have like a verse and a half. What else can I say about this situation that rhymes? You know what I mean? It's like, can be tricky.
Yeah. And I did come across that a little bit in the chorus. Originally, it did have a bit more of a... which, it fits, but it's a pain to write nice concise, clear, straightforward words for.
Mm.
And again, this is meant to be one of those songs where it's meant to be really super simple to pick up for situations like, oh, have you got a song to jam? Let me show you all of my insecurities. So that's why the chorus is just one line. I'll try to make it right. I'll try to make it right. I'll try to make it right. I don't know how, but I'll make it right.
Yeah. That's what I love about that. Is like, 'cause you can sit down with like, friends who, with guitars, like, hey, this is like 3 or 4 chords, and if you don't play guitar, just sing along at the end. Everyone can sing this refrain at the end.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's inclusive. I like that.
And again, I could have shifted this to a different key, but I also kind of like the fact that it's in G, so it enables you to sort of have the cowboy chords. Like.
I noticed that you play, like, the chorus, you play, like, A minor and G and stuff like that, but you're playing, like, different voicings up the fretboard. Any particular reason for that?
Oh, it's just easier to stop with the bar chords. So, like, as opposed to.
Sure.
Like, it's not a big difference, but just for me controlling it live, like, that's probably a bit better than that.
That makes sense. Yeah, with the bar chord, you're kind of muting. You can mute whenever you want, really, can't you?
Yeah. So like it's easier to sort of get that sort of feel to it as well.
Definitely, yeah. So, like, you said the verses came about quite quickly. Did the whole song kind of come about in one sitting, and was this your first sitting?
No, oddly enough, like the lyrics came very quickly, but like the song itself, like I think I was second guessing myself a lot of the time, and I had to sort of restrain myself from going more complicated in a few areas and trying to put in cleverer chords. So I sort of got this on the Monday, sort of the chorus bit, and then getting the verse chords took a while. Again, because I was trying to do clever things with them, like it's just like you've just lost the point of the song there.
Yeah, like, remember, this is for people who are just like learning the song on the fly, sort of thing.
This is for someone who's like been playing guitar for 6 months or something.
Exactly.
Like, so it didn't take long, except in the fact that I was trying to force myself to sort of keep on track, as it were.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of good that the lyrics came quickly, though, because it sounds like...
Because I came up with them on the Sunday and I ran out of time.
That is the good thing. In all seriousness, that's the good thing about writing on a deadline, is you go, it's got to happen today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let me bare my soul a second. Wait, it keeps coming out. No, stop!
Yeah. Stupid soul, get back in there.
That might be a title.
Yeah, stupid soul, get back in there. But no, I think it's good that it came out fast, and the fact that I've said this on so many episodes across the seasons, but the fact that you've written something that's like about the topic you want it to be about and it doesn't stray and it's all really concisely there is awesome.
The flip side of that is it doesn't progress. So this is the tricky bit about doing very simple songs, is that you can't really be changing them up too much halfway through in the same way that you would do for like a more regular song that we write.
Right.
Because you don't want to be going like, I will try to make it right. I did try to make it right. I won't try to make it right. Like, you can't keep shifting what people are going to sing.
It has to be simple, doesn't it? It has to be.
Yeah.
But then that's okay. I think with a simple song, it doesn't have to progress. Maybe the strength is in its simplicity.
Possibly, yes. I'm beginning to feel self-conscious about taking compliments, so I'll just not politely say yes. Yes.
I will stop giving them, I swear to God.
Fantastic, thank you. My poor little soul can't bear it.
No, this is a really good song. I think simple, like, to learn, but also I think simple production, I think, would probably work quite well with this one.
Yeah. If this has a future, and I don't know that it does, but if it does, it is like alive. Like, well, I guess I've got this one. Everybody join in.
Yeah. Well, also, like, you might come back to it like in a few months or something and go and see it differently as well.
What if I put like complicated bits in?
Just like, hey guys, this is an easy one to learn at open mic. It's only got 18 chords. It's fine.
Yeah, so that's what I've brought. That's all of my inner demons. So let's explore some of yours. What song have you brought for us this week?
Okay, so my song this week is called Nobody Gets This Right. We'll leave that, that's fine. Nobody Gets This Right. And it's in D major, and it goes like this. Somebody else called me again last night and said if I don't come right this time, they're giving in. I sit around watching the rain go by. No matter how hard I try, it's not going anywhere. I'm holding up my hands, but it's gonna come down. Nobody gets out dry at some other time with nobody else around. All of these things I found will blow away. So I sit around keeping my powder dry. No matter how hard I try, it's not doing anything. Holding up my life, let another go by. Nobody gets this right. Wait for your call to make me feel small, but nobody gets this right. Once in a while I look at the plans I've made, and all of the decks I laid are wearing thin. Most of the time it's only the heart that yearns. The body and mind take turns at not doing anything. Nobody gets this right. So there you have it.
I really like that. That's kind of you operating in that sort of classic singer-songwritery vibe that sort of works really well for you.
Thanks.
Like just having a cheeky little look through those chords, noticing that there's a lot of like suspensions and like major sevenths and like things like that, and sort of gives us this air of uncertainty, which is really good and sort of fits in with like the lyrics as well.
Thanks.
So, whereabouts does this one start for you? Cast your mind back to those far off days.
Just major 7 chords really. I was playing around with just sort of like trying to string together a chord progression to start with. And in fact I have maybe the same as you in 1, 2, 5, 1. That order. I think you had that in your song too.
That is true, yes.
Although my 1 is a major 7 rather than just a major. So rather
Look at him putting in his fancy
chords.
chords.
Oh yes. So rather than just having, because it could just be like, somebody else called me again last night. But it's like, da, 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 da. You just have a different melody on top of that. Whereas with this chord, you could start on some, which is that. Wait, no. It's one of the notes in the chord. It's some, and it just has a different lilt to it, and you can do stuff like that.
It also ties in very well with the A.
Oh yes, it
which
does.
you got as a 7.
Yeah, so that's the 7th. So it's kind of like, it could just be D major, E major, D major, E minor, A major, D major. But then changing that to D major 7, E minor 7, nice sort of tone to that one too. A major 7, and then D7. So it just kind of, that's where it started with the verse chords and just having like that type of feel. And I just was kind of like scatting some melodies on top, and I kind of just came up with that whole la da 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 la da 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 da. I thought I could repeat, and then like I was like, how do I get into another section? If you just change that D major 7 to a D7, it's quite leading, you know?
It is basically like, we're going to the 4 now.
Yeah, and it just really, really works to get into that section. And then I just wanted the chorus to just be really simple, just like, so G, F sharp minor, E minor 7 again, and then back to that D major 7. So at this point I kind of had a general structure for the whole thing, but it was quite repetitive in a way, so I thought, let's throw in a bridge somewhere in there too.
Yes, the bridge is very different, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
It sort of like, does it change sort of tonal centre somewhat?
I think so, yeah. So the whole song is in D major, and then for that section you go to a E major 7 chord, or like part of it anyway, enough for it to be. So then you're kind of at a major 2 sort of thing, but it kind of implies it's the tonal center. And then you go to A sus4 to A, and then you're back into that D thing. So you're kind of back in D. It just kind of throws you for a second, because it's like,
for a second, I'll be in A?
yeah, exactly, yeah, because it kind of like, it could very well be. And I just kind of like, it took me a while to find that E major 7 chord, because I could kind of hear in my head after the chorus ends with nobody gets this right. I could kind of hear like a kind of like
an off-centre.
Yeah, just something coming in.
Well, it's a very minimalist version of an E minor. An E major 7. For those of you who can't see clearly, what he's doing is he's playing the root note and he's playing the 7th above it, so that would be D sharp.
Yeah, so just literally...
Listen to that dissonance.
It's a weird chord on its own. But yeah, so that kind of worked out quite nicely. And then I had my structure. At this point I really had no lyrics though. I had kind of like a little bit of like, this time I'm giving in, or like, it's not going anywhere. I kind of had little tiny lines here and there. But...
And you start like using them as foundational building blocks, don't you?
Exactly.
No, but the chorus has to lead to that line.
Yes.
It's the only thing that came to me. I can't change it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, that's set in stone now. Although there were certain things that changed, like the first kind of real line I got was like the first one, like da 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 da, called me again last night and said if it don't seem right. So I knew I had something there. And I just kind of made it about, like, the whole song is generally about, like, it can be hard to be performing at your best when you feel stressed and you feel, like, under pressure. So I guess with, like, moving house and all that kind of thing. Like, there have been areas of my life where I'm like, I haven't quite, like, been at my normal standard of, like, you know, performance at, like, work or whatever, or just general things like that. And it's, like, it's just a song about that, really. It's, like, you know, there's lines like, you just kind of want to sit around watching the rain go by, no matter how hard you try.
That's a good line.
It's not going anywhere. And it's like, yeah, it's just that kind of like...
It's not watching the world go by, it's like just watching the depressing thing go by.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
yeah.
Hyper-focusing, like, this thing is ruining my life. Why can't I look away?
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it, yeah. And then it was just a case of trying to get, like, lyrics to kind of fit that and make sense, and I knew I kind of wanted 2 or 3 verses, so there was quite a lot of mining and sitting there and thinking, okay, what could I write? So like the third verse, let's take a look at the third verse, because that's the one where I was kind of like thinking, I need another verse, what should I write? Once in a while I look at the plans I've made, and all of the decks I laid are wearing thin. I wanted a different word instead of decks, because like, you know, the plans you've made, but also the foundation you're living on is wearing thin. So the best I could think of syllable-wise is the decks I've laid, but there's probably something better for that.
All of the stones I've laid?
That kind of works, yeah, all the stones I laid. All of the foundational housing materials I've laid.
Yeah. All of the material I've dug out to form foundations and poured in concrete.
Yeah, it's the double glazing.
I've probably got
first.
that wrong, and my dad's going to hate me for that.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah, your dad is in the construction realm, so you've got to be careful.
You say it as if it's this far off land.
And then finally in this verse I have this line, which I like the rhyme scheme of this. Most of the time it's only the heart that yearns, the body and mind take turns at not doing anything. Which doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense, but it kind of does too, in a way.
Can I just say as well, on your lyrics you have written out actually a heart instead of actually like the word heart, like literally. For the visual viewers this will be great, but it literally looks like that on the page.
It does. This is a thing I do, like with shorthand. I often write just like
You're very Prince inspired in that way.
it's not like for people
Like
to see.
honestly,
It's
I'm just surprised that your eyes on the page don't like look like that.
Man, we are getting the most out of the blackboard right now. This is great.
If you're not checking out the visual version, like please do.
This is we don't make any money from the visual version, but it's
fun.
It's the better version for sure. I mean, I wrote these lyrics out because they're on my computer. I thought rather than having the laptop here, I thought I'd write them out. So I wrote these out like 5 minutes before you came over. So yeah, that's kind of it for the song. It's really quite simple, actually, this one.
It's quite effective though, and it's kind of deceptive. It feels more complicated than it is when you explain it. Sort of, it gives that, like, just those little changes, like having the suspensions in there, having that bridge section that's in another key center. It does do a lot to sort of like lend that sort of more sophisticated, unsure tone, which then fits in really well with the subject matter as well. Like this conceptually is a really nice, like nicely packaged little song.
Thank you.
Is this going to be on Acoustify?
Acoustify, my upcoming acoustic album.
I'm going to make him call it that, no matter what.
What is it with people in my life trying to get me to call things I'm doing things? Like, Joe wanted to call To Your Heart's Content Sharp Side of the Moon.
And I still think he's correct. Have you
probably
seen
is,
the
actually.
album art? On the visual version, I shall be posting up the album art right now. Why is this record not called Sharp Side of the Moon?
Oh my god, yeah. So maybe I should
Available
call
now from Bandcamp.
maybe I should call it Acoustify. I think I'll look back and go, he was right. But I reckon it will be on Acoustify. Yeah.
Just the utter lack of enthusiasm. Yeah, I suppose it will be called Acoustify.
Damn you. But yeah, it's got all the makings of being an acoustic recording, so yeah, I'm looking forward to actually recording this one properly. It's going to be good. But yeah, I think that's about it for this week's song from me.
Oh, that's a very good one. Well done.
Thanks.
More! So now comes the point in the show where we ask each other what we've been listening to. Full disclosure, it's been about 3 days since we did the last episode recorded, so there's not going to be much. But, Roger,
yes.
what have you been listening to recently?
I've been listening to the Todd Rundgren album Healing.
Of course you have.
It's all Todd Rundgren at the moment.
It's all Todd Rundgren all the way
There's
down.
a lot to listen to. There's a lot of stuff by him that is just like out there, and it's all different, and it's there's a lot to check out. But I'm listening to the album Healing, which is, I might have spoken about it on the show before, but it's like two sides of a record, you know, as they do. And then the first side is like more conventional songs, and then the second side is almost like a guided meditation with parts 1, 2, and 3 of Healing.
I believe you've mentioned this before, I think.
I think I have actually, yeah. But it bears repeating. It's a really good album musically as well. Late 70s, and it's just really good. It's kind of a bit bizarre. There's one song in the middle of the first side which really seems out of place called Golden Goose, which is like a really upbeat, like quirky song, and it's probably my favourite song on the record actually, but all of it's really good. There's like some ballads on there, there's some more upbeat stuff, but it's a record kind of unlike any other. It's really bizarre and a bit off the wall, but I like it, it's good.
That's fair. Got to have these odd albums in your catalogue, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about yourself?
So maybe less odd. I've been listening to the Chicago soundtrack, specifically the original 1975 Broadway version of of Chicago. Basically, I found it in a charity shop, and I saw it was the original cast, and there are 3 songs from that musical that I really quite like. The famous ones anyway, so Cell Block Tango, which is he had it coming, he only had himself to blame, that one.
Oh yeah.
When You're Good to Mama, that's a great one. When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. And then there's another one that I really quite like called We Both Reach for the Gun, which in that point in the musical, a lawyer is sort of like writing one of the characters' sort of press statements. So it's done in the style of like a ventriloquist vaudeville act.
Cool.
You have like the press as a chorus, and like the lawyer like doing his best female voice going, I came from Mississippi, like that sort of thing. There's one really cool moment where like the mask slips and the person actually says her own opinion, and it switches back to the proper actor.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it's really cool. I'll have to show you later. I might show you. I've not seen the whole film. I really want to, but I might show you the film version with Richard Gere. Doing that bit. That's really cool.
So the film contains all the same songs as like the stage version, is it?
Yeah, the film is meant to be really, really good. And from the bits of it I've seen, it's like it cuts back and forth between reality and the musical, as it were, which is really interesting. But it also sort of makes clear what's happening. But yeah, I really like the songs from that musical, specifically those 3, but in general all of it. So that's what I've been listening to.
Nice. Oh yeah, definitely show me that later. That sounds cool. I like the sound of that. Okay, so this is the point of the show where we have an email to read. So if anyone's interested in emailing the show with comments, songs, thoughts, whatever, it's weeklysongpodcast@gmail.com, which I imagine is what Declan's writing on the blackboard.
This is great for the audio people.
It's just audio like... Yeah, so
I ran out of space.
At gmail.com. That's weeklysongpodcast@gmail.com. And and we love receiving emails. And we have an email from a friend of the show, regular correspondent of the show, Ansley Hendricks. Ansley Hendricks has written in with a letter and a new song. She says, Hi Roger and Declan. I'd love to share my new song, Further and Further Away. I wrote this song back in March during a 4-week songwriting workshop I took from Berklee College of Music. Ooh. It started with a non-moving chord progression that transitions into a moving one. Well, that's interesting. I also wanted to let you know I am no longer on Bandcamp. I'm on DistroKid. My new EP, Tableau, is now on iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and more music stores worldwide. Thanks so much, Ansley Hendricks. Hey, she's made it onto the Spotify and everything. That's awesome.
She's done that songwriting because she's more educated in the songwriting arts than we will ever be.
That's awesome. So yeah, let's take a listen to Ansley's song, Further and Further Away, and see what we think.
Lights gone, will they really recognize my plea. Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to see that the sky will open up again somehow? Do you hear me? Do you see me now? Climbing higher than the tallest wave, as the water churns, I look away with no fear of what's to come. I'll be okay. All I am is here. All I know is an empty void with an unclear view of time and space. But every time I reach for the stream, it gets further and further away. Further away. Do they see me? Do they know I'm there? Climbing higher than the tallest wave, as the water churns, I look away with no fear of what's to come. I'll be okay. All I am is here. All I know is an empty void with an unclear view of time and space. But every time I reach for the stream, it gets further and further away. Further and further away.
Okay, so that was Ansley Hendrix's song, Further and Further Away, which you can check out on not just Bandcamp now, but also Apple Music, iTunes, all the different places the Distro Kid goes to. And I really liked that. It was a really, really good song.
Yeah, that had like quite a nice little build on it. I liked sort of the sort of structure of it and everything. I also like the use of her vocal range. Like I think it's at the end of the second chorus where like suddenly it shoots up a bit more.
Yeah, she goes right up.
Yeah,
That's really cool. And I don't know, it just had kind of like a Disney sort of feel to it. I like the fact that it starts out on that one chord, like she said, and then expands into like a wider chord progression.
And then like it moves from like the arpeggios to the stabs and everything. And,
Yeah.
That works really, really well.
Yeah.
I also like this in triple meter as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice. Fantastic as always. So thank you, Ansley, for sending in that song. Again, you can find Ansley Hendrix's music on all the streaming platforms now. So that's awesome. Step up into the streaming platforms. And I think that's about it for today's show. So yeah.
So that's it for this episode of the Weekly Song Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you've written a song in a week, if you've got any comments about anything you've seen on the show, if you would like to tell us off for not doing anything properly, then why not write into us at weeklysongpodcast@gmail.com. We do genuinely love receiving like letters and emails and things like that. You can find the Weekly Song Podcast on all of the places where you find audio podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, things like that. You can find us on YouTube, where we have a video version now, where we're trying out a few new things. You've just heard one of the cameras die, so we are definitely trying new things.
But we got a sign now. The sign's working.
The sign's working.
The sign's working.
It wasn't working last week, but we are now the Weekly Song Podcast as opposed just to the week. And yeah, we also have an Instagram, Weekly Song Podcast, put the at the front. That's about it for the podcast. We also do have a joint project together.
Yes, we do.
A band that we like to call Schnookums, SCHNOOKUMS. And that is done that slowly so that Editing Declan can actually put the letters in at a reasonable pace. Search for Schnookums on all of the places where you would find music: Bandcamp, Tidal, iTunes, the internet in general. Search us and you'll find us, I'm sure. Roger,
Yes.
where can people find you and your myriad of projects online?
Well, you can find me at Roger Heathers on Instagram. That's the platform on which I'm most active, which actually I'm not active at all on at the moment because I've been moving house, but I will be again soon.
But it is still the most active platform.
Yeah, with nothing on it. No, there's loads to
He's
see
taking
there.
stuff off the other platforms, so that's...
Exactly. And I've got a bunch of albums out under just Roger Heathers. You can find me on, again, Amazon, iTunes, I don't know why I said Amazon first, Amazon, iTunes, Spotify, all the platforms where you listen to music. So do check those out. And yeah, how about you yourself, Declan? Where can people find you and your music?
You know where you can find me. Right here. You can find my music on iTunes, Tidal, Spotify, Bandcamp, Amazon, I'm sure. I've not actually checked. Someone please do check. And if I see some money come through from Amazon, yay. Yeah, that's about it. So we'll see you next week for episode 3. And yeah, that's all there is to this episode. We're a bit out of practice at doing this end bit. Can you tell? Ta-ra!
Ta-ra!